Hello, I'm Eric Hawkins. I'll be doing a quick rundown of Aaron Barich's mono red deck. Earlier this week, I put up, or I should say, my Team Swagoi, put up some tier rankings, and at the top of the tiers was mono red. So I thought I would record a short video with it, and so you can watch it here. This is one of the many versions of the mono red deck. Obviously, it's not mono red because there are some Blood Crypts and Temple of Malices, but that's mostly for this Rixmati Reveler. But as you know, most mono red decks go, very, very solid creature. Well, very, very fast creatures, I should say. And then, some pretty big payoffs. This one has Torbrand and Embercleave as its two big payoffs. But the creatures themselves are not too bad. Annex is really good. It's another kind of payoff, but it also gives you a little bit of resiliency. And same with like Phoenix of Ash as a new card. And then a pretty nice sideboard option with Unchained Berserkers. So like that's not necessarily a new card, but it's good in the meta right now with like mono white aggro being like one of the other decks in the format, and it gives you options for there. It also is like really good against like things like Oath of Kaya and stuff like that, or Hero Precinct 1. It's also good versus that as well, as it like gets through the tokens and the other bodies and stuff. But anyway, enough talking about the deck. You can kind of see it here. I'll also make sure that the list is available underneath the video as well. And then otherwise, let's just go ahead and play a few games here. Discard any changes. I don't think I clicked on anything by accident. Just gonna go ahead and play on ladder here. I had been playing the Teamer Rec deck, but we're gonna go ahead and play Barich's Red for a few matches here. Ooh, I have my audio on the wrong thing. Make sure I change that. Would like my audio to come through my... Turns out I don't always have these headphones on. All right, here we go. This hand is this hand is fine. I kind of wish that one of these Embercleaves was something else, but we can use the Reveler to kind of get rid of it here. So... also, for those that are going to be watching this video via YouTube, I am doing this while I'm streaming, so if you do hear me talk to some random person that you don't know who it is my chat. So, Makia says, 27 hours and counting for the season. That is true. I suppose a lot of people probably doing some grinding here to get to the top 1,200, because that is the number that everybody wants to reach. I am going to go ahead and discard an Embercleave here. I don't really need the second one. I do want more gas. I do want this third land for this Phoenix of Ash. So all of those things leading me up to playing Rixmati Reveler and discarding the Embercleave here. So far, unsure what our opponent is. Could be mono black with a very bad draw. Could be like Esper Control with a very bad draw. But the existence of black cards does make me believe that they're going to have like some sort of removal for our stuff. So it kind of makes me interested in like something like Chandra's Fire Artisan over like some number of Embercleave. And then maybe like I could go down to 2 Embercleave, or I could possibly like cut a Rimrock Knight. And I think I'd rather cut a Rimrock Knight than the third Embercleave, because we're kind of in the dark. We don't exactly know what our opponent is. I don't think I want to like just like add these removal spells in the dark, because like if our opponent's Esper Control, I might not want like Scorching Dragonfire or Lava Coil. If they are mono black, then I'd be interested in these cards, but I'm not 100% certain what they are. Similarly, I can't really add Unchained Berserker in the dark, even though if they are Esper Hero, then I'd want Unchained Berserker. But I think just because all we saw was 2 swamps and a concession, I'm just going to add Chandra, because I do know that they're going to have at least a lot of, or like a good amount of like black removal spells. I think this hand is a little too slow, a little too clunky. We do have like the temple to try to like find a 2-drop or something, but even if we get a 2-drop, this hand is still a little flooded. So I'm gonna go ahead and mulligan this hand. This hand's a little bit better. I am going to put one of these mountains on the bottom and hopefully scry into a bigger payoff than Annex. All right, there we go. Go ahead and play Temple of Malice here. Don't think I have time for the Scorch Spitter, so I'll bottom that. Now we're looking for something like Embercleave or the Chandras that we boarded in. All right, this makes me believe that they're mono black, the castle lock twin along with the swamp, and then the double basic swamp last turn or last game. So maybe I want like the lava coils. If we do go to a game 3, we'll kind of see how they configured their sideboard or how they configured their deck post sideboard. All right, Ember Cleave is the draw. That's kind of what we were looking for, but obviously losing one of our creatures is a big problem. Yep. So I think here I'm just going to pass. I could just like shock them. Obviously this doesn't kill the Ayara. So I'm just going to pass. I'm going to play the Anax here. They know about this one, so I'll just play this one. Next turn we get to play Torbrand, which makes Anax very large. Or we're going to discard the Torbrand, I guess. Oh, they're going to make me discard Embercleave. That makes me believe that they have like removal in hand. Looks like they're still short a little bit here. I am going to play the Anax. Or sorry, not the Anax, the Torbrand. Go ahead and attack for 7. And then now these, when I untap, deal 4 damage. So if they don't kill my Torbrand, I can kill their Ayara pretty easily. Them passing makes me believe that they want me to use Bonecrusher Giant on the Ayara, and then they want to kill my Torbrand in response. So I think I'm just going to start by attacking. That does mean that they do get to block with their Ayara. Do I like want them to be able to block with their Ayara? I don't think so. Alright, fine. I will actually stomp this. Now they're going to kill my Torbrand, and they'll force me to stomp with the other one. Which is fine. Let's see. So I do want this to resolve, because if I just stomp now, then this will die, and then I'll lose my other Bonecrusher Giant. So this will happen. I will get a thing. And then I'll go ahead and stomp here one more time. And only attack for 2. Another Ayara, which is also fine. We have enough things. Ooh, that's actually pretty good. I think I'd rather play the Bonecrusher Giant, though. And then here, if they do block here, which is the easy block, we do have Rimrock Knight finish off the Ayara. And they're going to need something pretty good here. They've been mana screwed for most of the game, being stuck at 3 lands. Did allow them to play things like Ayara, but it doesn't allow them to play like, you know, Nightmare Shepherd or something like that could actually take care of our Anax. And there you go. Not a bad first match. Ooh, I just realized that my cats love to play with my backdrop. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that really quick here, if I can. I don't know exactly what they've been doing here. There we go. They like almost knocked it over to the left. Or I guess to your left. Alright. And then let's go ahead and play one more with this. I did say I want to make just like a kind of a short video. So, hey, how we doing? Might have our first cat on the stream today. How many days left in the season? Makia says 27 hours and counting. So just over a day. This hand is a little weak, but I am going to keep the temple, the draw, both like kind of like allowing me to keep, I think. Our deck isn't particularly super fast or anything, so I am going to bottom that land. Is 900 safe? My assumption would be no. But I don't actually know. That would just be my best guess. For those that are going to be watching this via YouTube, this is my cat, Winnie, as you can see from the border there. Just going to go ahead and play this as a 3-1. This is most likely Temur Reclamation. So, Temur Reclamation is one of the decks that I put in the tier rankings at A, but probably right now would probably be tier S instead of the mono red deck. It has picked up a lot of steam recently. Let's see. Makia says, other people are grinding, which means they'll likely be gaining points and you might get knocked down. Yeah, I mean, that's like usually... There's like... While 900 is probably decently close to safe, like there's going to be a lot of movement in the last 24 hours. This could be the sweeper. It is not the sweeper, so that's good for us. Great Winnie pose. I agree. I agree. So if I go for Embercleave here, they could definitely have a they could definitely have the counter, like the Thassa's counter spell. If I don't go for it, then the Thassa's counter spell is also pretty solid. So I think I'm kind of incentivized to play this because I'd rather them not draw extra cards, and I'd rather them actually counter my Embercleave. Winnie is your uncle trying to use FaceTime. Okay, so their pause plus their not doing nothing makes me believe that they also probably have Brazen Borrower. So I'm actually gonna put it on the quote worst target because I don't want them to bounce my Anax. I'd rather them bounce my Rimrock Knight. So I don't get the they have double Brazen Borrower. All right, that's pretty bad. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and play the Anax again. They could have the counterspell. Not super worried about a counterspell here. Like, it is annoying. Yep. But that does mean they're kind of like getting lower and lower and lower on resources. I will just play this Scorch Spitter here. And this is kind of the reason why this Team of Reclamation deck is so good. It can stall, and then... if their leftovers are something like Reclamation and Expansion Explosion, there's gonna obviously be like a very, very okay, so there's like the Wilderness Reclamation. If this is Expansion Explosion, like here they would even get to draw 3 cards. I would assume that they'd probably wait a turn. But they do get to also play the Brazen Borrower, so like they're both like at being a tempo deck and being a like a big deck, I guess. Like the big payoff style deck. Like if this is a Thassa's Intervention, I do want them to have to use it. And I am going to pump with Rimrock Knight here. Alright, this sets up lethal next turn. So they're going to need something here. And even if they have like the sweeper, we get tokens. We get 4 tokens for if they have the sweeper, which is basically lethal. Alright, if they just have Gadwick, they are super dead. But they do get to untap with the Wilderness Reclamation. So like that's like the obvious downside to this. So the real question becomes like exactly how do we want to do this? I could put the Embercleave on Annex, but that means if they have a blue spell, they can tap my Annex really easily, right? And then I think I want to play Castle Embereth, and I think I just want to go to my attack step. This is technically lethal by itself. Okay, Expansion Explosion for... I can't see. I want to see how much this is for. I'm guessing for 4. So that will kill this. I will get a few tokens. I think I still want to attack with the Scorch Spitter to kill their Gadwick, the Wizen, and deal them a damage. And then the question now becomes, do I want to play anything else? If they make one blocker that gains them 3 life. So say they cast Uro, and then they'd have to cast another spell, and then they could bring it back. That would put them at 10. That would give them a blocker. The blocker could block Fervent Champion, and we'd only deal 4. I don't think we are beating a sweeper, so I'm just going to play everything. I think the only way that we can beat a Euro is an Uro is to play everything out. And if they, like, most likely we're dead. Most likely they just can tap everything, untap everything. Okay, so Storm's Wrath. We still have an out to any hasty creature. Any hasty creature plus the equip. Alright, unfortunately now not any hasty creature. Now it has to be... I don't know. I guess Phoenix is probably the best creature we could have. I do not think Euro will see a banning in Standard. I don't think it's powerful enough. Like, think about the things that they banned before, right? Like, they banned Veil of Summer because it basically invalidated an entire, like, strategy of cards. They banned Oko because it was just, like, so insane. But, like, things like Uro are just kind of like whatever. They're good, but they're like not incredible, right? They're like very good. Here, I mean, obviously it's very solid. Like if there was like I agree with Makia. If there was something, I think it'd be Wilderness Reclamation. I also don't think that Wilderness Reclamation is good enough to ban here. I think that Standard's actually in a pretty decent place here. We are actually just straight up dead. The only way that we could ever win this is if they have literal nothing here. But they have 7 cards in hand. They discarded a hand size, I think. Okay. We are dead. We're just dead on board. They have 9 damage. We have 8 life. Unfortunately, we don't have a very good sideboard against their deck. That is one of the problems here, for sure. Like, what I would like to see here is possibly a Claim the Firstborn would be pretty decent. Like a Claim the Firstborn over this, or maybe a Threaten over this would be pretty decent. I feel like they do have to get to... they do have to get to the claim, or like they do have to get to a point where claim is good or threaten is good, because they do need to keep like the creatures on board. So like being able to do that is pretty sweet. Take away a blocker, gain an attacker. A Corone War doesn't really do that, so that is true. Let's see. This is probably better than Bone Crusher Giant. Bone Crusher Giant doesn't really do anything. It does kill the 3/1, but it doesn't kill... what's it, Gadwick? So I'm kind of into that over this. And then, is anything else better than the last Bone Crusher Giant? Like, Spyglass isn't super great. Like I said, the Corone War isn't super great. Chandra's Fire Artisan is kind of medium. Unchained Berserker, obviously not good. Lava Coil technically kills things, and I guess it can get rid of something like an Uro if they do have to block with it. Is that better than Bone Crusher? I don't think so. I think I'd rather just have the Scorching Dragonfire, just because it is an instant. So I can kind of get them when they tap things or whatever. So, all right, let's go ahead and play. Did I mean to play a different Chandra in the board from... Oh, I copied this from a tweet from somebody that said it was Aaron's list. So maybe they made a mistake and put a different Chandra in it. This hand is great. I'll keep this hand. Mucha Master says that it's a different Chandra. I will admit I took this list from I think it was Dylan, and they had this Chandra. Maybe I'm wrong. It was Chandra Fire Artisan in the sideboard of the pitcher. See, Chandra Fire Artisan. So they can't. I'm gonna play Annex, I think. This way I can get past their counter magic. I can get this into play so that the sweeper isn't super great. And next turn we can play Phoenix of Ash, making Annex really large. The downside is like they could have Lava Coil, but to be fair, I think I'd rather have that Lava Coil than anything else. I just want to get Cleave down. I think Cleave is fine here. I could like play the Phoenix of Ash, but I think I'd rather play the Phoenix of Ash next turn. Aaron is a close friend of mine and hates 4-mana Chandra. That is fair. That is fair. Well, I just looked up and my opponent's at 4 life. So I think we're doing all right. So for those that are going to be watching this video on YouTube later, apparently the 4-mana Chandra is incorrect. Although we did board it in last game, so. I don't think there's anything else that I'd want here. I do think I want some removal, like some interaction, but I don't think I want that much interaction. I want to get their life total to 0 as fast as possible. There's some argument that Rimrock Knight gets worse on the draw because they get their interaction spells. So like the Rimrock Knight might not land, but I think that's kind like I'd rather have the 2-drop than the I'd rather have the ability to play the 2-drop than the pump spell, so I think I'd rather just go ahead and play this. Am I Phoenix bound next weekend? I am Phoenix bound. I'll be there on, well, technically, like, I will be available as a person on Thursday. I get in, like, Wednesday at, like, 11 p.m. So, like, I'm basically non-existent at that point. But I think this hand is fine. It is obviously lack of a 1-drop, but with only 8 1-drops, I don't think we can mulligan to a 1-drop. I really like Annex against this deck, and I think that's like something that's very important to keep. Here, I think I will just discard this Temple of Malice, and then play Rixmati Reveler. Getting a creature on board is obviously very key. We know our next play is going to be Annex Hardened in the Forge, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Is it music free day today? No, I am recording the first part of my stream. This will probably be like a 2-match thing where I just kind of play a few games again or with this deck, and then after that we'll have the music back. Because this is going to go up on YouTube, so you know, don't want to get in any trouble with the magic. Also, just a heads up, I played about 70 matches with a 75 to about an 83% win rate and wrote up a sideboard guide. I'd be happy to send it to you if you'd like. That is pretty insane, Mucha Master. All right. We get some tokens. That's like the reason that I wanted to play the Annex there. Here, I think I'm just going to get down our Ember Cleave. Unfortunately, we've only drawn Blood Crypts since our Rixmati Reveler turn. That would have been really nice to have the Rixmati Reveler instead of this Rimrock Knight at this point. So maybe it would have been better to play the Rimrock Knight as a creature rather than the Rixmati Reveler. But obviously we didn't know that we're going to draw only these. Let's go ahead and just straight up attack. There's a large chance that they have some way to interact with our token. I could pump here, obviously, but I don't want to essentially allow them to interact with our token. I'm like debating on just like playing this Rimrock Knight. They're always gonna have open mana now, so I am just gonna cast the Rimrock Knight as a creature. I could have possibly pumped the 1/1 token, but then something like a Brazen Borrower just like gets a 2-for-1 on us. I think I'd rather just have the Rimrock Knight and force them to find another Storm's Wrath. Do I mull? Oh, okay. Hold on a second. So I'm going to go ahead and Scorching Dragonfire this with the trigger on the stack. This way the Uro doesn't go to their graveyard. It actually, when it dies to its sacrifice effect, it'll get exiled because Dragonfire says that if that creature would die, exile it instead. So then they don't get to the Uro. Do I mull if I don't have a 1-drop? I do not. I like basically look at to see if I have a solid opening hand. If I have a solid opening hand, I don't think it's quite worth it because there's just not enough 1-drops in this deck to make that a feasible line. Also, slight misstep there. What I should have done is I should have played my land first. That way, if... no, it wouldn't have mattered. I was gonna say if they bounced my Embercleave, I could play it again, but I could just play it again anyway because of attacking. Winnie, why are you turning away from the camera? That's also kind of why I like the Scorching Dragonfires rather than the Lava Coils in this matchup, because, like, granted, I obviously don't have a Scorching Dragonfire right now, but if I did have a Scorching Dragonfire, then I would be able to, get rid of this Uro before it went into the yard. What are we getting done? We're getting an Expansion Explosion on our Rimrock Knight, it seems. Perhaps us. I don't know. Maybe our opponent's confused. Why would you do this for... Oh, they probably have the counter spell? Oh, okay. They're just doing this. They're doing this to... What are they trying to find? Why did they leave open 4 mana? So, no matter what I do, if I play another land, I can't play the Embercleave again. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack. I doubt this will work, but alright, it did. Gonna need something here. They're gonna gain 3 life. They're gonna gain 6 life. They're gonna have an Uro in play, and we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, that is one of the things that you do sign up for when you play an aggressive deck. Every once in a while, you draw. You know, this, and like all of these cards were basically in our opener, and we have only drawn lands. But that's, you know, one of the things is, like, when you play these aggressive decks, you don't have a lot of, like, deck manipulation, so you don't have, like, card draw, you don't have, like, a lot of scrying. I think that's, like, kind of one of the reasons for the Temple. And, obviously, the Rixmati Reveler. So, like, there are games where you're just going to flood out, because you don't have, like, you know, you look at our opponent's deck, and they have Uro, they have, you know, Opt, Thassa's Intervention. They get to look at a lot more cards than we do. I can't imagine winning right now, but if there was a way, it would be Torbrand living. Somehow. Okay. I think the game is over. The Uro in play with the option of getting a second one pretty easily. That's going to be another 6 life. That's going to put them to 12. It also put us to 14. They also just have a bunch of mana, so I wouldn't be surprised if we just die this turn. They've also drawn a ton of cards. Granted, they've used 2 expansion explosions, but They did also just draw like 5 or 6 cards or something like that, and then another bunch. So this game is, for all intents and purposes, over. But I do want to like kind of showcase the power of the Temur Reclamation deck, because I did state that if I had to redo this the tier list right now, I think this would be the S tier, and I'm not really sure what would be underneath that, like how big of the gap is. But judging from ladder currently, I would probably put red underneath it, but I think the gap is pretty large, to be quite honest. Nothing. Well, let's play this again. Good game, opponent. So they can just like attack us twice and we'd be dead. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to be it for the YouTube video gameplay. I will kind of talk about the deck a little bit, because we did show it at the beginning, but we didn't show it at the end here. You got to see both the power and the weakness of the red deck. The weakness of the red deck is you don't have something like a... I'm going to go ahead and make this change really quick here so that the list is correct. Oops. So it's supposed to be Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, which I don't think helps us too much in that matchup, but it would have been nice to have the correct list anyway. So I think this list, while it does have a lot of raw power, you have Embercleave and Annex, which kind of does an interpretation of like the Rotting Regisaur plus Embercleave from like the Black Red Knights deck, but you do have better mana than the Black Red Knights deck. I think it's a very solid deck. You have more payoffs in the fact that you have like Torbrand plus Embercleave. Annex is a huge creature. Phoenix of Ash gives you a lot of like reach if you can keep that going. The downside of a deck like this is that, you know, you are kind of at the mercy of your draws, because you don't have like a ton of manipulation, and we saw that in the last game. It's like you can just flood or you can get screwed. That's just going to be something that you do with like most aggressive decks. They don't have a lot of agency over the cards they draw, so you don't have like your ops and you don't have your Omen of the Seas or anything like that. You just draw cards right naturally for your turn. But I think that's the trade-off for like the raw power that this deck has. You can kill your opponent like as early as like turn 4. So like that is what you're trading for that, and then you also punish like players for keeping bad hands or maybe mulliganing low, or, you know, anything like that, having a slower start. So you do get a lot of like percentage points there, like especially in game 1 when your opponent's like, you know, say they're playing the Wilderness Reclamation deck and they keep a hand that's good against like most of the mid-range decks or like the Mirror, and then you start off with like Fervent Champion and they're like, oh man, I'm just so dead. So like that's like the idea behind like the red deck, and I think that's like why it was so powerful. As the format does evolve, I think this deck will get a little bit weaker because the decks will become a little more solid, but I don't think this will ever get to a point where this deck's just like not playable. I think it's like got enough good cards where it's very like it's always going to be good enough. The question is just like, where does it exactly fall? I had it at tier S. We'll see what it is next week as the format shifts, and with like Arena making things so fast, it'll be interesting to see kind of like how things shake out. So we'll see where it is next week, and next week I'll do a video with whatever deck I feel like is tier S, or whatever I should say, whatever the Team Swagoi does feel like is tier S. So anyway, for those watching on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. For those watching on Twitch, .tv/ConanHawk, yeah, we'll be playing some more Magic. So catch y'all later.